Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is currently, oh yeah, it's the 4th of July. Oh my god, that's embarrassing. I should have been able to do that a lot more easily. Guys, ladies and gents, guys and gals, it is the 4th of July in the year of 2012, and this is Day 9 Daily number 475, where we learn to be a better gamer. And we're going to have somewhat of a swift show today, due to the fact that it is the 4th of July, and in the American tradition, celebrating our independence from Britain, no offense, Britain, we're just going to blow shit up. And of course, shit up blowing begins at around 8 p.m. So we're just going to be doing a two-part daily this evening, but don't worry, because the topic is so simple that it's almost embarrassing. I don't know why that'd be embarrassing, because I know all the Protoss players are like, yippee, we learned how to do free wins, alright. Here's the topic of today's daily. We're going to be examining a very simple PvT play that addresses a number of problems that we have in Protoss vs. Terran. The PvT problems that we really struggle with are the big, scary mid-game aggression from Terran, and figuring out how the hell we safely get all of our tech up in the face of such scariness. To solve this, we're going to have a brilliant warp prism counterattack. That's my celebratory Velociraptor. It is a very, very easy play, and we're going to be going through it in 2 games from none other than Quantix Sase. In very exciting news, if you haven't read about the Higgs boson particle, do it, and you will become a casual particle physicist. You can chat up the barista. Oh yeah, did you hear about Higgs boson? It's pretty cool that they found something to go along with those other leptons and gluons. I'll have a macchiato, please. And she's like, oh, he's so smart. And now you're hitting on a barista. Huh? That's what we call Higgs boson. In other exciting news, I swear to God something else is going to be announced today. Screw it. Fun Day Monday for Monday is the following. Please submit to me a game whereby you use a neural parasite to mind control his worker, build his race, and kill him with his race. The end. Submit it to Monday at day9.tv. Now, I want to talk about finding problems. One of the most wonderful things in the whole wide world. In the game of StarCraft 2, where you have a fairly complicated system, it can sometimes be a little bit unclear what you're supposed to be doing. The instinct for a lot of folk is to go find a build, to go find a strategy and just mimic it, just to straight lift it, and they want to do the good strategies. And of course the problem is, good strategy changes over time. People start to figure out how to break that strategy, and then a new, better strategy comes along. And the question is, how do we end up keeping along with this trend without having to be some sort of crazy watch a million games a day sort of person? The answer is to just get out there and lose a shit ton so that you have lots of questions. As long as you have very clearly articulated questions, then the answers that you perform in the game will be much, much stronger. Now, I'll be honest. I lose a shit ton, right? I have periods, much like everyone else, where I have a real job, right? I do this commentary thing that has me flying around a lot. I'm not at my computer a lot, and there are sometimes 1 to 3 month periods where I just don't really get to play that much. And I come back, and my mechanics are sloppy, and my knowledge of executing strategies is sort of like drooled out my brain, and I'm certain this happens to you doing things like having a successful career or going to school and getting educated. All these things can help distract you from StarCraft, but when you come back, there's that, I don't know what I want to do. Let me tell you what you should do. Just play like 100 games and just start getting tons and tons of losses there. Just play through it, happily just shedding ladder points, hemorrhaging them like crazy. It's not a big deal, because once you get through a lot of losses, you'll have so many questions, and you'll start to find that the same questions come up again and again and again. Here's a really simple question. How the hell do you hold off a 1-1-1? It's a totally reasonable question. Why? Because it will come up a lot if you're losing to it a lot. It's the sort of thing that even when you come up with a new strategy, you're like, hey, here's a cool play. Can it beat a 1-1-1? It's the fact that you are asking this other question is what's really going to help you. A lot. So as we step into this game between Sase and Teja, I want to note that a big question that continues to come up in the Protoss vs. Terran, one of the really core ones, is how do you deal with the Terran mid-game aggression? In other words, Terran gets medevacs, he can start hitting your front, he can start dropping your main. There's a lot that you have to worry about. Moreover, for Protoss, we would love to get up Colossus, just because that's a good unit. But I would say more importantly, we want to be able to get up Speed Zealots and Blink Stalkers and Archons and Storm, because getting all those lets us get +2 upgrades as well. The Templar tech path tends to be a lot juicier of a tech path than just the Immortal Colossus tech path. So we would love to be able to get here safely. So I've just posed these two questions. How the hell do I stay alive in the mid-game? How the hell do I get this Templar tech up that has all this juiciness in it? Before I answer those questions, I just want to note, just notice how there's two simple questions I'm asking and strategies are going to start falling out. This is why I advocate getting out there, losing a lot, so you just have a lot of questions. And then it doesn't even matter what level you're playing at. Hell, you could be in Bronze League and the question could be as simple as, how do you beat someone who builds any number of Banshees? You might be a little coy stating that question, but don't worry, that's actually a problem for everyone at every level of play. So, I'm sorry, I'm just so popular. It's all the sexy felicities. They're like, oh, Day 9, where are you? We need you to blow up fireworks. And his brain couldn't think of a funny sexual joke to follow that up with. Very good. Let's go ahead and answer these two questions. How do we ordinarily stay alive in the mid-game and then go ahead and get all our awesome tech up? Well, let's do the most reasonable thing that we see all the time. We see a Protoss player going for Robo, defending, getting Colossus, positioning things well. That's how we're staying alive in the mid-game. And we just keep defending and we end up getting Templar tech. So sad, so tragic. We want something a little bit more active. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to present to you the Quantic Sase play. It is becoming very, very popular with the sound. Oh, the sound was on. Oh, that's weird. This is becoming very popular, but this is a public game from the Red Bull Battlegrounds tournament that happened earlier this year. We got the chance to see Sase do this build order twice. In part 1, we're going to see this build cleanly executed with a nice, easy win. And in part number 2, we're going to see a slight variation on it. That's, again, another nice, easy win, and we'll end up with about a 40-minute daily. Easy peasy. Now, in this period of time, I will note that in general, like for instance in yesterday's daily, I like to do some pretty technical, notes. If he's doing this, consider this and this and this. Now consider this and this and this. This is a strategy and a style that's easy enough that you can just kind of do it. And as long as you know why these parts are going down, then you're going to be in fine shape. Now, I'll note right off the bat that Sase is scouting pretty dang early. This is not a pivotal part of the style at all. You want to scout your opponent at some time. And in almost all situations, our opponent is going to be doing some kind of early-ish expand. He might go 2 barracks expand, he might go 1 barracks expand, he might go 1 barracks with Tech Lab expand, he might go 2 barracks with Tech Lab Reactor expand. We don't really care, as long as he goes some mixture of barracksy stuff and expandy stuff. Now, Sase does do some of this weirdity stuff where he'll go gateway, assimilator, and then he'll build down a cybernetics core. Again, not critical. Not critical to what we're going to talk about. All you have to know in your heart of hearts is that you're going to start off this TVP. You want kind of early gases, but for the most part, you're just going to be going 1 gate expand. That's all I really want to emphasize. So again, don't get caught up on all of Sase's technicality. Just go for a 1 gate expand, kind of favoring getting your second gas a touch early. I will note that what Sase is doing is putting 2 in each geyser, so it's like having 1.5 gas geysers. If you've never done this, just give it a shot. Feels pretty good. I'll also note another very technical thing that we see Sase doing. This is another cool play. This is actually lifted from Squirtle. Sase is going to build this first Zealot. If he sees his opponent early expanding, like really early, like 3 minutes and 20 seconds is when you can spot this. If he sees this, he cancels the Zealot and goes for a Stalker. Cool, right? Against everything else, you need the Zealot. Like, in almost all other circumstances, you need the Zealot. But if he's really, really, really mega early expanding and you see it, you cancel the Zealot and you just save a little bit. So what have I done thus far? I've just said, with the style that we're going to examine today, do some kind of 1-gate early expand. That is the gist. That's all you really need to have in your brain at this point in time, a 1-gate expand. I don't care if you like doing early 2 gas with 2 in each geyser, or hell, even if you mess up and put 4 in each geyser. I don't care if you are letting the Zealot finish and not realizing this. For whatever skill level you are at, do a 1-gate expand. I suspect any Grandmasters watching, which would be really cool. I would be very appreciative. For Grandmasters watching, a lot of Grandmasters would probably do exactly what Sase is doing. If you're in Bronze or Silver, don't worry. 1-gate expand is all you need to really, really know. Alright, cool. With our Stalker, we're starting to contain him at the front. Let's start talking about some timing stamps. Timing stamps. When he can be doing various things. We go ahead and get our extra 2 gateways up. If you are playing at a really, really high level, you'll know that this timing is really fragile. It's important to be even spending the Chrono Boost correctly so that these line up. For whatever skill level you are at, make sure that these gateways are going down at a reasonably early time. Now, here is something that I will note is something that anyone, no matter how you're executing this opening, needs to be aware of. This Stalker sees no pressure coming out the front. It sees nothing. Therefore, we can build a robo facility. What if our opponent was swinging at us with a whole bunch of stuff and we were really, really nervous? Well then, let's do the obvious thing. We don't build this robo facility right away. We make sure that we have some units coming up. And you'll note that even now, Sase has seen stuff coming down. You don't need to cancel this robo facility. Generally around 5:30 to 6 is when you'll start seeing that push coming. As long as these have any reasonable amount of timing to their completion, you'll be pretty much fine. Because you've been building only sentries at the start. Now here's where things get a little bit interesting in my eyes. Around the time you build your robo facility, I'll actually use that as my timing indicator. Oopsie daisies. Let's come back to 6 minutes. After you start your robo facility, start a 3rd gas geyser. Again, it's not super instant, but what I'm trying to do is state the concept. The robo facility followed by this 3rd assimilator. From about now till 10 minutes, there's no way that the Terran player can actually have medevacs. He can force them really early and get there by like 9, but he'll have not a lot of units and you can just kill it. So around 9:30 to 10 is about when you need to start worrying about stuff. Just want to plant that in the mind. Put that into the brain. Now, ordinary logic would say, if we're gonna go for a robo facility early on, then we better make use of it. We don't want to just go robo, build an observer, and then say, well, I'm done with it. We want to, do something like get Immortals or Colossus or that sort of thing. It's a little bit of a wasted structure if we only construct 1 unit out of it. And we are going to see Sase do some clever stuff with that. I'm just going to note that right away. But the most interesting thing in my eyes is that Sase is still staying kind of low on units and then is getting this quite early Twilight Council. And getting his 4th gas subsequently. We have the observers from Sase going out, just doing some spotting. But in Sase's shoes, we're not actually going to be getting too aggressive. We're actually sitting back and getting our Zealot leg speed. Now, already this is exciting because of the fact that we are starting to get our Templar side of things up and done. Our Observer got scanned and killed off. Oh, rats, we haven't spotted anything. But hey, no worries. No worries at all. We actually see quite clearly that it's not 10 minutes yet. So there's really no big threat of medevacs coming up. Sase is just sort of poking and prodding around. Ignore this. Let me just say straight up, ignore these sorts of movements. If you just sit here with your ass parked, doing nothing, that's great. As Zealot leg speed is going down, flood with gateways and get a Warp Prism. What? A Warp Prism and a Templar Archives? I'll note right off the bat that all this is gonna be built around 9 minutes. This is a pretty key time. At around 9 minutes, we build all the gateways. We start building the Warp Prism. We start building the Templar Archives. 9 minutes, the money 9. Why? Because Warp Prisms, Gateways, and Templar Archives all take about a minute, so they'll all be done by that key 10-minute timing mark, when we really start to get scared. 5 Gateways total in production. This Forge, I wouldn't say is part of the strategy that's really notable. This is just something that's good. You want upgrades. Don't get them too quickly. Everything coming up all at once. And interestingly, at this point in time, Sase is right here. As I go to the everyone cam, I'll note that Teja actually got a lot of barracks early on, has a whole bunch of Marine Marauder. His medevacs are about to pop out. See, 10 minutes is about as early as you can get them, 10:30. Makes total sense as to why these are 30 seconds late. We have 4 barracks instead of 3. Whoa! So I'm going to now state the problem that always happens in this matchup, and therefore why this is a solution. The problem we always have in this matchup is that Terran is going to push right now with medevacs. We have to not die. And in all this time when we're defending, Terran's getting more upgrades, he's getting expansions, he's building more engineering bays. It's really annoying. So we certainly have to defend, but it's this counterplay with the Warp Prism that's so frickin' slick. This is actually why we have these 8 warp gates. It's not because we're actually going to be pumping units out of all of them. We can even see that there's 4 idle right now. It's that when Terran comes out to do this mega push, again, a little after 10 minutes, and thank goodness we have a lot of observers constructed. He actually built 3 in this game. Thank goodness for all that, because we now have a cool choice. We made the Immortal because we had a Robo up. We went ahead and got the Archon because we had our Templar Archives up. There's a second one. If this force is way too big, we just do a nice warping on the ground and keep ourselves alive. Most of the time, though, we can do this. Nice, clean, easy warp-in back in the main base. And so long as you have those sentries up early, you have enough force fields to deal with this push, while you just go kill him. Now, I will note, Liquid Teja is super good. GSL Code S player. Phenomenal Terran vs. Protoss. Do you see how easy this is? This is so cool. Morphing an Archon in the main base. Oh, you didn't. Oh, how dare you. And there you go. Pretty clean. Pretty easy. Pretty simple. Now, I'll note that the other last thing, as we're around 12 minutes, already it's kind of clear what's going on here. Great. Meanwhile, back in the main base, it's more significant to note that we have all these key pieces. We have Forge, we have Twilight Council, we have the Templar Archives. We could even start researching Storm around now. We even have the ability to get a 3rd base up safely. And I would really say that the 3 keys to Protoss late game are getting the 3 bases up, getting the Templar tech up, and getting the upgrades up. Really, the only thing we sacrifice in Sase's position is this upgrade situation. So I really quite like the way that Sase is set up. And this is why I love this style so much. It can outright win, and even if it doesn't, you have an excellent setup. A really, really excellent setup. So I'm going to take a break, and when I come back, it will be part 2, the last part of this daily. It's going to be a 2-part daily because I have to skedaddle and blow things up. Please enjoy these funky beats. Woohoo! Woohoo! In part number 2, we're going to see a variation on this.